Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Man, Antonelli here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing? Man, Antonelli here. I want to talk a little bit about college recruiting. I know we're at that time of year right now where if you're a 2021 high school graduate, you are entering your senior year right now. Might be from your living room or your basement or your office. Maybe some of you are back at school, but regardless, you've entered your 2021 year. And so you're getting ready to graduate high school this coming spring. And if you're a baseball player and you're trying to get recruited, this year has been it's been unlike any other year in the past. Okay, with our Antonelli baseball teams, we have tons of players that are 2021 grads that we help get recruited to play college baseball. Right, we've sent 100 players on to play college baseball over the years at all different levels. We've had tons of Division I guys. We've had D2. We've had D3. We've had JUCO. We have not had an NAIA guy yet, but we've sent them everywhere, okay? And I'm always involved in that process, okay? I coach our oldest team, and I'm one of the main people that talks with these college coaches and helps our players through the recruiting process. And this year has been different. So if you're sitting out there and you're saying, man, this year's crazy, it has been crazy, okay? Let me give you a couple of things. First off, I'm sure you know this. Most colleges haven't been able to recruit this year. Division I schools haven't been able to recruit at all. Division II schools have, they're just starting to, some of them are just starting to be able to recruit. And Division III schools, depending on the league you're in, same thing. A few of them have been able to recruit, a lot of them haven't. So it's been a really, really strange summer where for us, we've been videotaping these games all summer long and we've been sending them to colleges. But it's just not the same as having a college coach out and being able to watch you. Right? As a baseball coach, when you recruit, you want to get your eyes on guys. And it's great to have coaches recommend players and coaches that you trust. And it's great to be able to see video on guys. But it's important to be able to get out and see a guy, not just see what he looks like as far as a skill set and a talent base when you're watching him, but also be able to see, his body language and how he does, what's his mannerisms like and what's his attitude like. And you can get all those things when you're watching a guy in person, right? Most coaches get to the field early. And they watch guys, how do they interact with their teammates? How do they warm up and stretch? What do they do when they have success? What do they do when they don't have success, right? If you're a hitter, what do they do on their way to the batter's box and on their way out of the batter's box? And what are the at-bats like? And, you can do this for every position. There's so much more than just watching a video of a player. Now, unfortunately, we're in times right now where that's really what you got to do. Really, that's really the only option. And so, some schools are recruiting just based off video. And we've had guys recruited this year. We've had a lot of guys recruited at Division I level so far. But in total, where everything is backed up this year, this has definitely changed stuff. So that's where I want to start, okay? Just so everyone understands. So you're not like, man, if this is your first time doing it, which many of you are, you might think like, oh, this is, is this normal? Is this not normal? This is not normal, okay? So that's the first thing. Okay, the second thing is, what I've noticed is that a lot of schools, in my opinion, I've talked to a lot of schools, are not recruiting like they have in the past as far as the amount of players that they're recruiting. So because of COVID and because of this past college season being canceled, basically, some started and played a little bit, but essentially got canceled, everyone has been granted another year of eligibility. And so a lot of players are going to be coming back for a fifth year. Right? And if their school doesn't offer graduate school and they've already graduated, then basically, or they're going to graduate on time, then basically they can go to a school that does have a graduate school and they can do a fifth year there. All right. And so what does this mean? Well, this means that unfortunately for the 2021 class, there's going to be less schools looking for players because when a school typically, let's say, has 8 players leave after their senior year, well, now all of a sudden those 8 players can come back if they want. And so it's creating a logjam of players where there's, not every player is going to come back, right? But a lot of players have, at least a lot of players that I've talked to, and a lot of schools that I've talked to are going to have players coming back, all right? And so it is creating some type of a logjam. The other thing that schools are doing that I mentioned earlier is some schools are, instead of going out and trying to grab high school guys that they couldn't see all year, right? They don't have a lot of information on, or at least not as much information on as they typically do because they couldn't get their eyes on them. What some schools are doing is they're either going to bring in transfers, they're going to take guys that want to do a fifth year but can't do it at their own school, so they're going to come to their school if they have graduate school, like I said, and they're going to do a fifth year there. And so there's all these different avenues that they're going to be able to take players from, which unfortunately means less spots for 2021 high school graduates, okay? And so what do you do? What if you're a 2021 graduate, what do you do? Here's the biggest thing, and this is what we've been telling our players, is that you need to make sure that you're expanding your target list, right? That's the biggest thing in my opinion. Because in most years, and this is, let's forget about COVID years, okay? Well, we've only had one, but let's forget about that. Most years, the number one thing I tell players is your list is too small. Players come up to me and say, Coach, I know where I want to go. I say, where do you want to go? They say, Harvard. I say, great. Where else? I say, Harvard. I'm like, awesome, cool. Give me some more schools. Harvard. I'm like, wait, no, this can't happen, right? Like, lots of really smart kids want to go to Harvard, okay? So this happens in normal years. Kids give me like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools. And I'm like, listen, that's great. And I like the list, cool. But you've got to expand this list, like a lot more. Like I usually tell guys, I want 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 schools on your list. Because you got to think of it from this perspective, and some players don't. Players just think about, where do I want to go, right? Well, I want to go to these 3 schools, or I want to go to these 5 schools, okay? And I'm the best ever, and so they're going to want me. And just think about it in the reverse. Think about you being the school, being the coach. Think about how big the country is. Think about how many players are in the country, right? So I always say, do you think that, now hopefully I do, but do you think that the coach is sitting there and he's saying, man, out of all these players in the world, if only I could get Matt Antonelli to come to my school and play for me, man, that would be a treat, wouldn't it? Man, I really hope that he chooses our school. Now, hopefully, for Matt Antonelli, or for you out there, hopefully the coach is doing that. But let's think about the odds of that happening, right? There are so many players out there. So many players out there. And so to think that that coach is just sitting there just praying that you want to go to his school. There's a few players in the country like that, right? But there's not a lot. And so players, I think sometimes players just think, well, I want to go there, and so we can make it happen, right? Now, for some players, we do. There's certain players, right? If you're on the mound and you're throwing 90 miles an hour, like, there's a lot of schools that are going to want you. But if you're on the mound throwing 82, 83, 84, even 85, and you're in that range, well, if you're looking to go to a Division I school, it's going to be really, really hard. And even if you're looking to go to a Division II or Division III school, doesn't mean that they're going to love you, right? Or they're going to want you. So you need to increase your target schools. You need a lot more. One more thing before we get into that. Think about this as well. So typically in most players, and this doesn't always happen, Division I isn't always better than Division II and isn't always better than Division III, right? There's certain schools at Division II or III that could play with or maybe even beat Division I schools. But most players think, like, in their mind, Division I is better than 2, Division II is better than 3, okay? Let's just pretend that for a second. Now, what's happening is because a lot of Division I schools maybe aren't recruiting as normal, right? I've talked to some schools that say we're not bringing in any 2021s this year, right? Okay, we normally do, but we're not because we're getting a lot of players back, and we brought a couple transfers in, and blah blah blah, and so we're not going to. Okay, now just think, all those Division I schools. There's a lot of schools that aren't recruiting as many guys, right? So there's less spots. So now you've got players that were good enough in a typical year to play at Division I. But now, because they're not looking for as many guys, guess where those Division I guys end up? A lot of them. They get pushed down a level. Maybe it's Division II or Division III. Okay? So now they're pushed down here. Well, now you've got a bunch of guys that in a typical year would be a Division II or a Division III player. But because these players have been pushed down, what happens to these players that were down here? Now they get pushed down, right? So now everybody's getting pushed down because there's less spots. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. In a typical year, if you're 82 to 84 on the mound, you might fit at a certain spot. Let's say 82 to 84 fits at a certain Division III school, right? But this year, they're getting guys that are a little bigger and stronger and throw a little harder. Maybe they're getting guys that are in the 84 to 87 range with a little bit better stuff. And so, because they got pushed down from the D1 level, because D1 didn't have as much spots. Well, now, you're thinking 82 to 84 works at this level, at this school. And it might have in the past, but not this year. Because this year, they've gotten a couple guys they don't usually get. And so now you've been pushed below them. So now they're above you. And you're sitting there saying, well, how can this be? What is going on? Like, I know guys that play at this school that throw this hard. And I know that this and that and all that stuff. It's a different year this year. So again, what does that mean for you? You have to expand your list. Okay? So if lists were too small to begin with, and now we're in a weird year where everything's getting crunched like this, you better go big. You better cast a big, wide net if you want to play college baseball. Okay? So that's my biggest advice. Whatever your target list is, look at it right now. You've got to expand it. Now, I have some players that say, but Matt, these are where I want to go to school. I don't want to go to school at these other places. Like, I might be able to play baseball there, but I don't want to go to school there. These 5 schools are where I want to go to school. And I say, okay, you've got to make a decision. How badly do you want to play college baseball? Okay? Because when it comes to school, I say it's a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision, right? So you're going to school. Most people are going to school to learn something, to set themselves up for life after school and after baseball. Baseball will last 4 more years in college, and then they'll be done. And then what are you going to do with your life, right? And so it's a 40-year decision. So don't just go to a school just to play baseball and not worry about the academics and what you're going to have when you come out of that school, right? When I coached at Holy Cross, Holy Cross is a great academic school, one of the better schools in the country. And we used to always talk about a 40-year decision over a 4-year decision, and that when you leave Holy Cross, you're going to be set up to tackle the world and do whatever you want, right? Coach used to call it golden ticket, right? You leave with a golden ticket. And so you've got to really think about that. And it might mean, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to play college baseball anymore. Maybe I'm just going to go to school for the academics. And that's a decision you have to make. We've had players make that decision, right? Maybe you say, I'm going to go try to walk on. But you have to be okay with, if I go to walk on and I don't make the team, I'm okay with that. I'll try again next year. Or maybe I just don't play college baseball. Or maybe you go and play club baseball, right? So there's some schools have club baseball. Maybe you go and do that as well. So there's a lot of things to think about. But the big picture is, get a bigger target list. If you want to play college baseball, you need to expand your list of schools because schools aren't looking for as many guys. I hope that makes sense. Okay? I talk to our guys a lot about that, but it's tough for players to expand. They want to just keep staying in their little, 5, 6, 7 schools that they like. You can do that, but you're risking not playing college baseball. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Also, Eric Neeson, one of my former teammates, current coach at Georgetown University. Great coach, great recruiting guy. He's got something down below that I want you to check out. I recommend this to everybody. If you are one of these people that I'm talking about, a 2021, or maybe even a 2022, you can be any high school age. If you want more information on how to get recruited, check it out down in the description box below. I highly recommend it. I've watched the whole thing. I've read the book. He does a great job. It'll really, really help you out. Click the link down there, and you'll get more information on it. That's all we have. We'll talk to you later.